far as we are concerned as students, there are two main kinds of types of lessons that we have. There are lessons where we are given a question and then we've got to work out the answer, and if we haven't finished at the end, we're given the answer to that question. And sometimes we might be wondering how we figure that out, and then we'll go home and we'll look through our books and think, that's where I went wrong, or this is how I did it right. There's the other kinds of lessons are the ones where we spend quite a few weeks over one specific question because it's maybe quite a difficult topic that we find challenging, and we have to go through all the dead ends to find if there's a right end at the end of that dead end. So that's what our big questions are kind of about. So far we've done quite a few of these big questions, and John's going to talk to you about the first one that we did.
The first big question we did was the efficiency of a car, and it didn't take one lesson or two, it took several, and each time we learned more and more, and not only did we learn the efficiency of a car, we learned about energy and lots of other things along the way, which also helped us to move forward in our physics lessons.
So one of the other ones we did was the solar system. Now, a lot of people found this very hard, and going back to what Mr. Thackeray has just said, some things you are going to fail on the first time you try it. And I think that's what quite a lot of us did. And quite a few of us, we came on the Monday after and realised we had nothing to show that we'd done it. But in fact, most of us have really tried hard on it. And I think what everyone has done is thought about it and then just thought, oh, I can't do this. But then when we came back to the lesson after, Mr. King didn't tell us the answer, but he helped us work it out. So if we went home again and tried to figure it out again, we could work it out and do it. And if you didn't know that, you could then again go to Mr. King on your own and he would help you work it out, but you did need to know where you'd gone wrong and have another go at it. And one that applies to me individually was the solar system. I felt this was really hard because what we had to do was fit the whole solar system and scale it down onto the map of Great Britain. And these were skills that we thought we knew. We had learnt about scales and geography, and everyone thought we knew it. So we came out of the lesson with a smile on our face, thinking we could do it. But then when we got home and actually looked at it, we found that we couldn't. So the week after, when we came back to physics, after that lesson, we actually took more in about that type of thing, and then we could go home and work it out in that way. So it's applied to me in other subjects as well, to actually think the different ways that you can approach learning that thing, not just going down the path that's already been trodden on, just going straight for the answer. You've got to look at the other ways of getting that answer so you can do it, so you can apply it to different subjects and different things, and that also applies in real life. Next we have the QI homeworks. These were homeworks that Mr. King set us, sometimes a bit randomly, but others that were really applied, and we had to go home and, using our previous knowledge, or knowledge that we found then, we would have to go home and figure that out and bring in the answer for next lessons. So this would give us the knowledge of using other sources, say, e.g. I used encyclopedias and sometimes the internet, but that would give us knowledge that we could carry on for other lessons, so we could go home, say when we were revising for a test, and we would know how to get that information and how to get it quicker than just surfing through hundreds of websites looking for the same thing without really picking up on everything. So we had a number of these questions, and I think Mark's going to talk about it.
One of the questions I found particularly interesting was how often is a blue moon? Because it's quite a common phrase, and quite often people don't necessarily know where it actually comes from and the roots of what it means. And so we went home and then I researched on the internet, and it took quite a while to find it, because you always just find the sayings and you find people's different interpretations of it, but you can never really find the actual answer. So then I went to my parents and asked them if there was any way that they could help me, a way that I could find it out, and it turned out that we had a phrase book, so I decided to look in it. And it turned out that farmers in, I think it was something like the Middle Ages, they used to use the blue moons as calculations for when they could plant all their plants and when was the right time to do it. Because once in a blue moon technically means when there were 13 full moons in one particular year. I can't remember exactly how many years it is before that happens, but I think it was 4. And then I think John is going to talk to you about one of the other questions.
One of the questions I enjoyed was the waterfall one, because it's quite a local question, because there was a man named James Jewell who tried to find out exactly whether it was hot at the bottom of the waterfall, and he tried it on a waterfall in Yorkshire. But the problem was he couldn't find out whether there was a major difference, because his waterfall was quite small. Although if he did do it, the actual answer is it would be hotter, because the energy is changing from kinetic energy to heat energy, I believe. And if it was used in the largest waterfall, I believe it would be 4.47 Celsius hotter.
You sure?
Well, these are just some of the questions that, like James said, some of the more random questions that we were given. And these were quite interesting, because these were things that we would never be asked in another lesson, and these are just things for general knowledge. That actually, you never know, one day you might need it if you're in like a pub quiz or you end up with their or something. These could actually come in useful. So some of these we did quite recently, and some of them we did quite a while ago. So thanks for listening.